Hello, my name is, excuse me, my name is Martin Cowart, and welcome to Noonday Meditation and Contemplative Prayer Power Hour, where we gather together every day at noon Eastern Time to love and support each other through this pandemic. And thank you so much for joining me again today, because we're not alone. We need each other to move us not just through this, but to also create a movement of a new world, a new way of being, grounded in the truth of who and what we are. Are you looking for permission to make self-love your primary purpose? Think about that for a second. I spent most of my entire life trying to prove I was worthy of love. Like many of us who grew up in a very producer, consumer culture and economic system, I had a belief system that said, unless I made a lot of money, unless I was successful, the way to happiness, the pursuit of happiness, was I had to first go out and make money and be financially successful. And that's, I'm afraid, a common misunderstanding of the world. And it's rooted in what is known as the scarcity mindset. And the scarcity mindset says there is a finite amount of resources, including money, and there is a finite amount of time. And we all better hurry up and make our share, because there's not enough to go around. And it is a very, very painful way to live. To try to prove what is true is impossible, because it's just true. It is a universal truth that we're worthy of love. And it wasn't until I was in the middle of one of my darkest moments that it was so painful, I finally had to surrender to a power bigger than myself, my old belief system, my ego, and say, I just don't know what else to do. I've done everything I can. I guess I'm just not worthy of love. I don't know what else to do. I've done everything and nothing seems to be working. I failed at everything. I am worthless. Any of you have been there in that space? It's a pretty dark place to be. But the beauty of all of that is, in that darkness, in that despair, I finally got quiet enough, and a deep voice, a voice deep within me, came up and said, Martin, none of this matters. None of this stuff that you're doing that you think is so important matters. All you need to do is show up with love and gratitude, and I will do the rest. Now, the I in that statement is the divine I with a capital I. I call that the Divine Mother, Joy. And once Joy spoke to me with that truth, everything changed. I finally got the permission I was looking for to love myself, to love life, and to love others. And I made that my primary purpose. And when I did, everything in my life changed for the better. And life got so much more exciting so much freer. It became an absolute joy. That's why I named her Joy. And by the way, thank you for joining me again today. If you will, just type into the chat box. Let me know you're here. Say hello. Add comments. I love it when people add comments to the conversation. It creates more of a dialogue and less of a monologue. So if I say something that's questionable, you don't understand, or you do, comment, because it helps me. I'd like to. I can shift the conversation around to you. And that's why I'm here. We're here in this, like I say, we come together at noon together to love and support each other. So your comments into the chat is your way of entering into dialogue. It creates more of a togetherness, if you will, for me. So I really appreciate when you do that. Let's see what I was just, that's my, oh, hello, Felix, long time no see. Let me see what you had to say. I was just listening to the great Jane Oliver song, The Greatest Love of All. I love Jane Oliver. That's a girl from the past, isn't it? And really listen to the lyrics. It's so true. It begins with loving yourself. All else will follow. It might not follow to the degree that you want it, a false belief. And then that thought leads you to realize that success does not equate to money, but rather holistic success of loving oneself, such that the universe will send you what you transmit into it. Miss you, Martin. Absolutely, Felix. That's wonderful. Absolutely. I'm so glad you commented. That is so true. I mean, that's it. That's spot on. I mean, that is it. That's what we're talking about. But we grew up in this consumer producer scarcity mindset that says we only have so much. But when you realize that the abundance and prosperity is not something that we go out and we achieve, it's what we are, everything changes. And of course we love the prosperity that we are. We love the abundance that we are. We love the infinite creative resources that are within us. And that is fun. That is exciting. Being a contemplative is not sitting in some cave somewhere looking at your navel and isolating yourself from the world. It is quite the opposite. It is a way of engaging within yourself to love yourself and love the world around you. It was in my realization in that dark moment when the Divine Mother said to me, all that stuff doesn't matter, quit worrying about it. Just show up in the moment, show up moment to moment with love and gratitude. And I will do the rest. And you know what? As I've gotten to know that presence, that deep presence within me, and I allow her to do the doing in my life, it's just so much more exciting. That's a life of purpose. That's a life of a primary purpose of self-love. As a Christian mystic, as a Christian contemplative, Jesus the Christ is my teacher. And it seems, and I've been a contemplative 40 years, so it seems to me like it's finally hit me in the head and said, when I got this realization, exactly what that first commandment meant. Love the Lord your God with all your heart, with all your mind, and with all your soul. It wasn't just a permission from Jesus, it was an actually commandment. Hello there, Mindy. How are you doing today? Good to see you. How are you? Happy Wednesday to you too. We're talking about permission to love yourself as your primary purpose in life. And I don't know when you joined in, but I don't know, but I'd love to hear your comments on this concept of self-love. And I was talking about when it finally hit me in my darkest moment, when I heard that voice come up and say, Martin, all that stuff that you get so wrapped up about and so worried about, it doesn't matter. Just show up with love and gratitude. It made me realize exactly what Jesus was saying. To love your God, the Lord your God, with all your heart, with all your mind, and with all your soul. He was God is not some supreme outside being, some concept of a supreme outside entity. God's within us. It's what we are, it's the essence of who we are. So what he's saying, love the essence of you. Love the essence of the life within you, of the divine within you and me and everybody else. And everything will change. Everything will fall around that. It is a powerful, powerful commandment and even more powerful way to live. Because when we step into that spiritual realm, our power is amplified. Self-love amplifies our power to make a difference in the world. And right now, as we're going through this pandemic and we're having to look at ourselves, it could be a way for the Divine Mother to say, wake up. All this other stuff that you're doing is so painful to both each other and to the universe. Stop it and love yourself. Love your neighbor. Love the world. Deeply love it so that you don't want to trash it. You don't want to hurt anyone else because you're hurting yourself. And from that place of self-love, we can come together and we can co-create a world, a new earth as Eckhart Tolle, grounded in the truth of love and prosperity. And all those old fear-driven economic systems of inequality built out of scarcity and the ego mind are imploding around us. And it's scaring a lot of people. And it should, because their lives depend on money. Their power depends on that economic system, their sense of power. But that's not where the power is, you see. The power is within us. And that's what I think humanity is finally coming of age. COVID-19 is really pushing us into the coming of that age for humankind. And that is an exciting time to be living. We are living in one of the most exciting times in the history of humankind. Because of advanced technology and communication, like we're having right in this moment, millions of people around the world are shouting from the rooftops this truth in some form or fashion. Everyone is sharing their story. And I invite you to share your story as I'm sharing my story. Because the more of us that share the story of the truth, of our hero's journey, our epiphany story of change and transformation to a better world, is an opportunity to bring everybody into that fold and to create a collective consciousness, a collective movement that will change the world. The news yesterday that we have the opportunity for a fiercely loving, brilliant African-American woman to be the next vice president of the United States is tremendous. She is a leader from the heart. You can feel it in her. And it gives me a tremendous amount of hope because we need leaders who can lead from the heart and lead from the soul, who understand self-love is not selfish. It is universal. And the world needs this kind of leadership because what I watched last night, I watched the news. I don't watch it a lot, but I did watch it last night. I watched Rachel Maddow. And it was all these wonderful, hey, Scott, hey, how are you doing? Are you looking for permission to make self-love your primary purpose? I hope so, because it changes your world when you do. But I watched Rachel Maddow last night, and just the enthusiasm. She interviewed a lot of influential, powerful, influential African-American political women. And the enthusiasm, you could feel the love and the energy of changing us and moving us to a world of more equality and more love. And that's what we're talking about. So spread it, boost it up. Invite your friends. Invite your friends to come here and join us. This isn't about me. This is about all of us. This is about being together and giving ourselves permission to love ourselves and to love each other and to love the world. We are part of something. Once you realize, as I certainly did, once we realize, you realize, I realize, and the world, everybody realizes, we are part of something so big, so magnificent, so loving, so creative, so nurturing, that all these little narcissistic, selfish, self-centered, focused concepts simply dissolve because they're not real. The only thing that's real is love. And I don't mean the emotion. I mean the creative power of love that put you and I on this planet and everything else you see. That is the Christ center of all things from a Christian perspective. It's what Buddha called enlightenment or emptiness. That emptiness, that stillness within all of us that calls us into a deeper longing for self-love, for more understanding and more development and nurturing. To create a primary purpose for that stillness within us, to wake us up to a bigger truth, both within ourselves, so that we can reflect that out into the world, and that becomes the world we create. That's kind of exciting, isn't it? I've been reading A New Earth, Awakening to Your Life's Purposes by Eckhart Tolle. That's been influencing my conversations lately. So, and I just love him. He wrote this book quite a while back, but I really do love what he's having to say here. Let me see what he has to say here. Recognizing inner space. Space between thoughts is probably already arising sporadically in your life, and you may not even know it. A consciousness mesmerized by experiences and conditioned to identify exclusively with form, that is to say, object consciousness, finds it at first almost impossible to become aware of space. We can't become aware of space because we're so focused on the objects. And if there's no objects, we get worried because we're worried there's not enough. We want the space. We want the space to create something new, create new form. This ultimately means that you cannot become aware of yourself because you're always aware of something else. I was always aware of trying to make a living, trying to be successful, trying to make a lot of money, trying to be important, trying to get other people to like me. All those things that I was so focused on, I couldn't focus on me, on the real me. You are continuously distracted by form. Even when you seem to be aware of yourself, you have made yourself into an object, a thought form. And so what you're aware of is a thought, not yourself. That's the difference, I think, between thinking about yourself and loving yourself. When you love yourself, you reflect back. When awareness is conscious of itself, when consciousness is aware of its own consciousness, that feels like joy. And that's what we're talking about. When we become aware of that life force within us and become more of the observer of our physical forms, then we can begin to experience the spaces between the objects. And that's where life is, in the spaces, in the unformed form, in the unmanifested, unformed spaces. When you hear of inner space, you may start seeking it, and because you are seeking it as if you were looking for an object or an experience, you cannot find it because it's not an object. This is the dilemma of all of those who are seeking spiritual realization or enlightenment. Hence, Jesus said, the kingdom of God is not coming with signs to be observed, nor will they say, lo, here it is, and there. Behold, the kingdom of God is in the midst of you. It is the essence of us. Heaven is the essence of life. All energy in once. If you're not spending all of your waking life in discontent, worry, anxiety, depression, despair, or consumed by other negative states, if you were able to enjoy simple things like listening to the sound of the rain or the wind, if you can see the beauty of clouds moving across the sky, or be alone at times without feeling lonely, or needing the mental stimulus of entertainment, if you find yourself treating a complete stranger with heartfelt kindness without wanting anything from him or her, it means that a space has opened up. And no matter how briefly, in the otherwise incessant stream of thinking that is the human mind. When this happens, there is a sense of well-being, of alive peace, even though it may be subtle. The intensity will vary from a perhaps barely noticeable background sense of contentment to what the ancient sages of India called Ananda, the bliss of being. Yes, that is my experience. I had these sort of sudden moments when, like, oh my God, look how beautiful the world. Also, it's not just a tree, it's the essence of the life of the tree. I'm seeing the life, the energy of the tree. And sometimes we can't make this happen. It just happens by grace. God, maybe practice, a contemplative practice does create the opportunity, does create we can create the space within us to allow the grace to come up within us, and we can begin to experience that bliss of life. But we have to be willing and open to accept it. We have to kind of come to God, if you will, with an open heart and ask, show me your presence. Show me the presence within. And I would say mostly, and over the years, particularly since I had that moment in the darkness about not mattering, and I heard that voice of the Divine Mother. That's what practicing, making self-love a purpose. It's not something that it develops. It's like any relationship. It takes time and nurturing and love to grow and expand. And unfortunately, that expansion is often comes with challenges that are uncomfortable, because we have to accept the things that we don't like in the world as part of what we are. Because you have been conditioned to pay attention only to form, you are probably not aware of it except indirectly. For example, there is a common element in the ability to see beauty, to appreciate simple things, to enjoy your own company, or to relate to other people with loving kindness. This common element is a sense of contentment, peace, and aliveness that is the invisible background without which these experiences would not be possible. Wow. How sweet is that? How sweet is that? Anybody got anything they want to say before we meditate? And contemplative prayer is a specific form of prayer meditation for exactly what we're talking about. It is for the purpose of awakening to the truth of who we are and our life's purpose. So it is a practice of self-love. And the more we practice this, the deeper we begin to love ourselves and love our planet. And we have a longing. I mean, I know I do have a deep longing to serve the world in the short time I'm here for the betterment of others. Because when I can make a significant impact, or even a small impact, maybe it's just buying a homeless man a hamburger in Manhattan one day. That simple act of kindness was such a feeling within me of living a life of purpose. Simple acts of kindness is one of the ways we can practice self-love. So let's get started with a little meditation and see what we get. I'm going to set it for 20 minutes. You're going to hear a bell in a second. It's going to start the 20 minutes and allow the vibration to kind of bring you closer inside yourself. Become more aware, become more present to this moment. Now raise your arms up in the air and just hold them there for a moment. And experience the presence of life holding up your arms. Yes, your muscles are doing the work, just as your ears are hearing me and my mouth is talking. But the being, the universal being, the one brain is what's doing it. That's what's doing it. It's the life force. It's that spark. It's that space that holds them up. But it's an example of how we can manifest, how we can create out of that space. And it's so close, we don't even see it. Because how hard was it to raise your hands? It's what we are. So as we go into, just know that life energy you feel in your fingers and your hands, the top of your head, your nose, there's nothing to look for. That's it. You found it. And what do you have to let go of right now to be more present to it? So put your hands on your heart and just feel the beating of your heart. What does it feel like to be life within your body? What does that feel like to be you? What if with intention you let go of every thought, every belief, every judgment you have about yourself right now and just said, I love you no matter what. And from this moment on, I'm going to dedicate my entire life to loving you more. Loving myself, loving yourself is going to become my primary purpose from this moment forward. Put your hands down, you still got them on your heart, and just get comfortable. And from a place of self-love, just notice the gift of breath. Coming in and going out, the natural rhythm of life itself loving you with breath. and just become aware of it. If you want to, you can extend the inhale and the exhale just to create a little bit more intention so you can focus on it a little more. That's what you want to do. Begin to notice the spaces between my thoughts and your thoughts. Allow yourself to just feel the space. Don't look for it or think about it, but feel it. Feel that energy of space, emptiness, timeless. That still infinite space within us. And as you hear the sound of the vibration of the bell, allow it to take you deeper within, deeper into that silence. Allow the bell to waken you from a trance and reset, and the vibration take you deeper inside. Welcome back. I've been sitting with kindness versus nice this week. What did you find out? What are you discovering about the difference between kindness and being nice? There's a difference, isn't it? Nice has got kind of a quid pro quo to it. It kind of goes like this. I was as nice as I could be to that girl, and she still didn't invite me to her party. She is so mean. Nice takes got a little something behind it, doesn't it? Exactly. Nice has an expectation to it. Exactly. Whereas kindness, and you wait sometimes for that expectation to happen, to feel fulfilled. No, it worked. However, when I'm kind, I know it immediately. I feel something within me immediately. I feel the presence of God within me. And that is self-love. There's a difference in being nice to myself and being kind to myself. Yeah, it's pretty cool, isn't it? You know, I say something. It's interesting to me is that I get a lot of numbers when I first start talking, and all of a sudden I get people joining me on these things, and then the minute the contemplation begins, the minute the meditation, also the numbers drop, and I think that's not practicing self love because my talk is not nearly what I have to say, and I'm not self-sabotaging. I think I have some, what I'm saying is coming from a deeper place within me. So I think it's important. But the purpose of me saying it and to read is not to substitute what's going to come next. It is a precursor. It is a way of opening up the brain's neural pathways to allow a deeper truth to reveal itself within us. So I really encourage you to, your ego is saying, okay, I'm bored with this now. I can't sit still. I'm really gonna encourage you if you're having a hard time sitting still for 20 minutes to allow yourself to sit through the discomfort and get comfortable with it. That is a practice of self-love. The willingness to sit in the discomfort of the boredom. Your heart is never bored, but the ego is easily bored, which is why it's so hard for people to sit still for 20 minutes. Yeah, yeah, moments, moments. And the more we can come into each moment, because all we have is moments, by the way. Life is just a series of moment to moment to moment to moment to moment to moment to moment. There is no past, there is no present, it's not the construction of our mind. So, so I love the analogy that you're having moments because you're realizing you're getting present to the moment where everything else goes away, and you're present in the moment to the truth of who and what you are. And that's love. That's pretty exciting. So the encouragement, and I know Mindy's still here because she comes every day, but if you tend to sort of want to run away the minute we put on the timer, give yourself a week of not doing that. Set aside a time every day from 12 to 1 to really, really love yourself. Not for me, but for yourself. This power hour is designed for a way to practice self love and get to know yourself during this pandemic in a way you've never known or loved yourself before. Because when you begin to really love yourself and you begin to discover who you are and how lovable you are, you will realize you have a purpose to extend that love in whatever forms you have to a larger audience. So, if you like, what you could do with the next few minutes is get out your journal and write a little bit about, complete the power hour, if you will. Reflect on what you learned about yourself today. Look, reflect on opportunities, moments of when you were experiencing self-love and moments when you weren't. When do you resist loving yourself? How do you resist loving yourself? What are the obstacles we focus on? And they can distract us from making self-love our primary purpose. Just ideas to think about. Thank you so much for joining me again today. Mindy, I always enjoy to see you. Um, Felix came around. I haven't seen Felix in years. Nice to see you too. My dear friend Scott Mason, always good to see you. No one else put their name up that I can see. And if you don't put your name up, I just see a number. I don't see who you are. But I'm glad you're here anyway, whether you tell me who you are or not. So we're all here together. We're all just one big, we're just one big being, one big brain, if you will. So may love and prosperity prevail. I'll see you again tomorrow at noon.